No, you're gonna have to go to the alley. The alleyway is only accessible from 17th Street because it doesn't go all the way out to, and but yeah, this is right away, the electrical line and everything else runs
I
now.
talked to Ken, he said he would get some numbers together.
And he's saying that spot right there. Cool. Causing a lack.
All right.
I've got a copy of the actual agenda. Study session, yeah.
And Rob's not going to be here, you said, right?
Rob won't be here and Jerry won't be here for the study session.
Okay.
All right, he'll be here for the meetings, what he told me. So, everybody else's turns up with everybody else's here.
Okay. I'd like to call a meeting to order. Start out with roll call.
Commissioner Allen?
He's not here. He'll be here for the meeting, but not the study session.
Okay. Commissioner Norwood?
Here.
Commissioner Siragusa?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts? Here. Commissioner Stallings will be late.
He's not coming tonight.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
Mayor Pinkinen?
Here.
I
Okay.
have a form.
All right. At the commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the rescheduled regular session agenda. So I'll take any notes from any commissioners, if you have any. Okay, seeing none. Item number 3, study items, 3.1, Call Lake Water Supply Update.
Thank you, sir. We have a slightly larger team this evening. We did some bid openings today, and so we have a lot of people in here. We've got several folks from Garney and a couple of folks from Garver. But what we'd like to do is start off by giving you a little brief update on where we are, let you ask some questions, let you know, give you what we're doing, what we're building, give you the opportunity to ask details, and we'll go through it from there. Eric?
Good evening, commissioners.
Evening.
I'm not sure it's on, is it? I'll speak loud.
Okay.
Great, but I do see some new faces, so that's wonderful. My name is Eric Flady with Garver Engineers. I'm a project manager and have been with the City of Enid serving you as the engineer and program manager for 3 years now myself. Also along with me this evening is Miss Jennifer Russell. Jennifer's been on the program for 4 years, is a project manager, a systems engineer, and interface manager for the program. So she's carried a lot of the load, orchestrating all the disciplines and just all the actions that are needed across many disciplines to get a project ready for construction, which is where we are at today here. So as you heard Mr. Gdansky mention, we had a bid opening today. So this was bid opening number 3. Garney here will talk about that in a minute. There is going to be a little bit more bidding left to do before all bids are completely out and open for the program, but we made a big step today, had a very good showing, had some great competition for 3 of the 8 pipeline segments today, and then a lot of work at the water treatment plant for the major facility there and the electrical package. So great competition, so a lot of good bids, and they'll be able to talk to you about that. All right, many of you have seen this, but for the new folks, there's 5 key infrastructure components that encompass the Call Lake Water Supply Program. So the first one is out of Call Lake, outside of Ponca City, with an intake. So we're gonna tap a straw into Call Lake to suck the water out and then convey it through a 70-mile raw water transmission pipeline. Next, as you're moving across the state here and across 4 counties, in the middle there will be an intermediate booster pump station to bring the pressure back up to send it all the way to the west side of Enid to a new water treatment plant. And then last, a 3-mile distribution pipeline of Chestnut Water Main. And then this is a map that shows what I just talked about. So as you can tell, we're starting over at Call Lake, which is, again, just on the east side of Ponca City. It runs diagonal across 3 of the counties here into Garfield County is the last county. It does parallel a Oklahoma Gas and Electric overhead power transmission line. They've got a 100-foot easement, and the City of Enid's easements are as adjacent, and right next to that is a utility corridor across this land. Moving it into around the west side of Enid to the new water treatment plant, and then Chestnut Water Main. All right, design. As you can see here, design is complete. It shows here we've got, since last time I briefed, we have acquired 2 more permits from DEQ to construct. The intake pump station has been improved, and Chestnut Water Main. So all the linear work is permitted now, as well as the intake. We'll be finishing up or getting the permit from DEQ on the intermediate booster pump station and water treatment plant shortly. No hang-ups on it, it's just a matter of process. Other permits. As many of you are aware, the big NEPA environmental permit was received right at the end of last year prior to getting the authorization for GMP. We also have the 404 wetlands permit that has been approved, the 408 for the USACE land over at Caw Lake. All ODOT permits are received, so there's 8 ODOT crossings across that 70 miles that have all been approved. The DEQ, as you can see here, 10 out of 11 have been approved. Union Pacific and BNSF railroads, there's a total of 4 of those. 3 of those are in process. We've submitted to them and should be approved at any time here for 3, and there's another one that we need to submit and get that moving. Our last thing here are the county road crossings. As I mentioned, 4 counties. There's a total of 64 county road crossings across that 70-mile pipeline. Garfield County is the first one to start. Those are the bids that were open today. And yeah, we need to get those ones started. So that one is critical. Land acquisition, this has been a phenomenal success story. 2 of the biggest challenges for a long linear project like this is environmental. You've checked that box very successfully. Land acquisition is almost there. It's continuing to move forward. You can see out of a total of 230 parcels, only 7 of those remain. One of those is with the City of Enid that is being negotiated, and the other 6 are with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, also in good status. We anticipate those being buttoned up soon, but will not impact contractors' ability to proceed and do work on schedule. And last, Chestnut Water Main, so 25 total parcels there. 13 of those have been acquired, so 12 left. We're continuing to plug away at that. We started that at, gosh, I think it was just February this year. So in, well, yeah, 3 months' time, have made a lot of great progress across that 3 miles along Chestnut. With that, I'll hand it off to Mr. Burkhart.
Good evening. I'm David Burkhart with Garney Construction. For those of you that haven't met me, we are the construction manager at risk for the project. So would like to give just a very brief update on where we are with construction status. Currently, we have a couple of things different going on with regards to construction and procurement. As it was mentioned earlier, we took our 3rd solicitation set, received bids on those today. Very good participation. We're very excited to see that. Received roughly 30 bids on 7 different packages. So very good turnout and very happy. Our first solicitation, just going back in time a little bit, was in November of 2020. Second solicitation group was in March. 3rd we took today. So at this point, we have procured majority of the project, including the transmission pipeline, majority of the treatment plant, at least the east side of the treatment plant, plus some of the more critical components there with the mechanical equipment, electrical gear, things of that nature. Construction has started, primarily out at the intake site. We have a video and a couple other things to take a look at, but construction is underway out at the intake facility on Call Lake. The water treatment plant equipment has mobilized to the site. Recent weather has not been favorable for jumping into that head first, but as soon as things dry out a bit, you'll start to see a lot more activity at the water treatment plant site. Not sure if I click to get the video to play or if someone hits that. So this is it's a very nice overview of the project, but this is a rendering of the intake header with the 3 screens to be able to draw water at the 3 different elevations of the lake. Some aerial footage of the access road that's being constructed. The pump station sits on top of that knoll. So you can see the access road that's being built to gain permanent access into the pump station for maintenance and operations. This work started about 4 weeks ago, I would say. At this point, the road's been roughed in. It's beginning to be topped with rock and gravel, and the site's being made ready to begin on the vertical shaft for the intake here very soon. I mentioned on top of that knoll's where the pump station sits. That gives you a good visual where the pump station's up on the knoll, vertical shaft down, and then micro tunnel out into the lake to gain access to the water. The pipeline leaves this pump station and travels west across the USACE property, and then, as Eric mentioned, runs southwest along other utility corridors into the west side of town. So, pretty quick video, but if folks haven't been out there yet to see the start of construction, sort of gives you an idea of the site and how things look today. Just a few more photos, again, of the same site. Top left is a before photo, and then there are some progress photos of the site being cleared, road being roughed in, rock excavation, and things of that nature. So, very quick update this month, but
Good.
thank you.
Thanks, David, and good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Russell. So happy to be here after working on this program for so long. It's really exciting to be partnered with Garney and seeing it come to construction. So on the slide behind me, you'll see a little bit of timelines. We have 2 timelines. So on the top timeline would be the engineering timeline, and the bottom timeline is Garney's construction timeline that we've experienced. So on this program, we've done the engineering design at 60%, which is a little bit more than halfway through the design plan process. Garney was able to produce a guaranteed maximum price for the city and secure the rest of the contract based on that 60% design. Within that 60% plan and within Garney's GMP was an identification that there were going to be changes in the design as the engineering team went from 60% to those ODEQ permitted plans. And so once we got those permitted plans, the changes that happened during that process were acknowledged, identified, and incorporated into the program. Once we got past that, though, there are additional changes that have happened over the course of time, and there are new scope items that are being introduced into this program. Some of those new scope items are related to regulatory requirements that we have to meet in order to make sure that the program gets implemented, and we have a bit of an unknown with some county road crossings that we're just beginning the permitting process on. So we wanted to put on your radar the fact that although we have integrated as much of the change as we knew that we could, there have been some changes that have come to the forefront of this program that now we will start to take a look at. We're going to do the most that we can to mitigate those changes and keep everything under control. We have been here on the side of the city for the past 4 years. Garney has been our steadfast partners as we have been walking through these next steps, and I can assure you that we're going to do the best that we can to keep those costs under control. But I did want to put that on your radar that there are a few things that will be changing, and we've got them on the horizon, and we're keeping our eyes out for those.
Any questions on that one? Let's go the other way. So those items that we do know about at this point are the things that we talked about, that Jen talked about, the design progression. We know what they are. We're still in the process of pulling together the budgetary numbers to bring that to you. And we obviously, if you recall, your budget has a $2 million contingency for design progression. The other thing that we have in there to help us protect us on that cost is within the Seymour's contract, within Garney's contract, there is a couple $1 million of construction contingency. The things that we know are coming is we have some requirements from the Army Corps of Engineers to do mitigation of our impact onto their property. We're working, we have approval for our mitigation plan. You voted on it not too long ago. We have our construction license, temporary construction license, which you voted on last time. We are working on developing the cost associated with that mitigation. That involves primarily removing some extra trees, cedar trees, out of their property and building a fence and gate to prevent trespass, if you will. And so that's what that is. It doesn't sound like a lot. I don't anticipate that it'll be a lot. I expect it to be a little north of $250,000. The other thing that we haven't settled, run all the way to the ground yet, is our county road crossings. We've had a little bit of pushback. They're a little concerned about our technical approach to going across those county dirt roads. We're working that. Gerald is heavily involved in that. I believe that we'll get that to resolution with minimal cost impact.
Yeah, and I think they're very amenable to working with us on that.
Great.
And it specifically relates to boring it or cutting it. And so, so I don't anticipate that'll be an issue. I think that we'll all work together and keep moving along with the project.
Any questions?
Yes, Chris. As far as the price of the material on the pipeline, do we have that set as far as the?
We have our material for the pipeline.
Okay.
David, you want to come up and join me? Material escalation over the past couple of months has made me very nervous.
Me
It's
too.
making a lot of people nervous.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we did receive pricing for the pipe material back in November. It's one of the first solicitation sets that went out. Since then, the steel market, along with resin, lumber, plastic, fiberglass, you name it, has increased dramatically. The cost of steel is up over 300% since November. It is a challenge. It's a challenge that unfortunately I think we're going to have to deal with as we go forward here, especially with regards to schedule of the project.
With the project this large, I just wondered if it was possible, that they would lock in a price. Normally it's like 6 months, when you're dealing with certain projects, really large projects. They give you a price that's set pretty much for 6 months. And I know we're just in the phase of beginning construction, but once I watch the price of materials going up, I'm feeling like you guys are. So I just concerned.
We share the concern. It's something we're keeping a very close eye on and discussing some different measures to help mitigate the impacts because they are real. And over the winter, I think they're short term. January, February, March, things are going to come back down. Here we are in June, and they haven't yet. So,
Yeah, because everything's inflated. We're looking at inflation, and today I was just thinking, I said, man, I hope, that everything goes back down as far as material, period. So
Well,
it's just a big concern.
And we opened some bids this afternoon, and you haven't had a chance to actually calculate the impact, but the numbers that we saw were pleasant, so it didn't make us too nervous. So I think that part of it means that we're going to be okay. The one thing that we haven't addressed completely is the coatings on the bores, on the river bores, but we have that design contingency design progression contingency to take care of that. So that's what I believe will consume a portion of that.
Because I remember last year we were discussing, there's a company out of Dallas that we were looking at as far as purchasing the material, when it came to the steel, but I know now we're going more towards a different type of material in certain spots. So are we still dealing with that company, or?
We are on the pipe material, segments 7 and 8 are steel pipe. Segments 1 through 6 are concrete steel cylinder. So there is steel in the pipe. There's a steel can, steel bar wrap, but the pipe itself is primarily concrete versus steel. So that, I guess you could say, could help mitigate some of the cost of increased steel. And what I would say, and Chris made an excellent point, is we took bids today with a lot of prices elevated, and still with the bids that we saw, the way the numbers came in, gave us a good comfort feeling with where we're at on those particular components. So there was a large percentage of work and material that bid out today, and appears that our budget is still in fairly good shape.
Good thing for the contingency.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
18% first. No.
Any questions?
I was just letting them know that steel went up 18% this month.
This is a great opportunity while you've got the Garver and city staff team to ask any questions that you need to know or want to know about the project. I've got some questions, but I will hold them to visit with you guys about later.
Sure.
I had one thing. There's 3 new commissioners that have not been to the site. All of us did a site visit in the past. I'd like to offer that opportunity to the 3 new commissioners, and in fact, I think the other 3 commissioners and I may want to go take a look at what it looks like as construction has begun. So let's take a look at seeing if we can't put something together for that.
We can do that.
All right.
And you won't have to get on a boat to see it. You can drive down to it now.
All right. Good.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Okay. Item 3.2, presentation on traffic cabinet components and finances.
Michael Williams and Lucian Odom are going to take us through this presentation, and it reminds me of when I was in school. I really liked and paid attention to the show and tell stuff, so you brought some stuff, some real stuff in here, right?
That's for sure. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, I'm Mike Williams, as Gerald said. I run the Technical Services Department for the Public Works Division, and one of our more important responsibilities is traffic control, or signalized intersections. And so we put together a short presentation for you here to kind of go over some of the workings. I want to cover the technical aspects of what we do in traffic control, and then we're going to cover some of the costs that are associated with many of the projects that we're trying to tackle. I'll start with our basic cabinet, which is what you see here. Then we'll go into how we control and monitor our systems within the cabinet. And then we'll take a quick look at our signal head, our school zone beacons, and our street lights. We'll cover some of the terms and causes for traffic delays, and then we'll review the finances. So if you could kindly hold your questions until the end. I hope to try to cover this well enough that you may not have it. I don't know. We'll see. All right. What are traffic cabinets? Cities use cabinets because they support a large amount of data and analytics to help meet the traffic management needs. This is actually the brain of the intersection, this guy right here. In Enid, we have 55 cabinets, and we are responsible for, and 50 of these are our signalized intersections throughout town, and 5 of them are our emergency intersections that you see for the fire department. Inside the cabinet, this is our signal controller. This unit is fully programmable and networkable. It's the brains of the entire cabinet, and it's fully adaptable and integratable for add-ons such as remote monitoring software, traffic studies, preemption technology, traffic detection, and high-tech camera systems for flow monitoring. Here we go. This is our MMU, or Malfunction Management Unit. It's also known as a conflict monitor. This is the parent of the cabinet. It watches for any conflict, and in milliseconds, it will switch a signalized intersection from normal operation into red flash. Instances such as lightning storms, rodents, and even variations in the electrical supply can create havoc. But this MMU is always on the job protecting all of us. In many cases, the MMU can automatically reset back to normal operations on its own. In instances when it cannot reset because of an ongoing conflict, it has to be reset manually. And this is only done when the issue is isolated and corrected. Many of our signalized intersections have what we call preemption equipment, which is located in the cabinet and on the mast arm itself. This equipment takes a signal from an emergency vehicle and relays it to the controller, which then gives the emergency vehicle the green light and the right-of-way, which helps speed up the response times for our fire department and in any given emergency, and then also protects the motorists that are in the area. Battery backup. Okay, most of our signalized intersections have a robust battery backup system. Which keep the lights on when the power is lost. These can usually run up to 9 hours on the batteries when the system is in flash mode, and then up to 6 hours if it's operating in its standard mode, in which is programmed. Detection systems. In Enid, we have 3 primary detection systems. They're known as loops, radars, or cameras. Loops are what you see underground, and they detect the metal from your vehicle via a magnetic wave when you drive over it. It's old but reliable technology. However, the installation and the maintenance costs can far outweigh most other systems. In Enid, we're standardizing to radar and camera detection systems. We currently have a few radar systems, such as at 42nd Street, 10th Street, and even the one at Lowe's and Walmart at that intersection between those 2 businesses. Our camera standardization includes 2 camera systems, distinctly different, but each with its own features and benefits. These are known as Autoscope, which we have here tonight, and Grid Smart. The Grid Smart is the one you'll see that has the bell that's looking down. It's like a fisheye, and it sees all 4 of all 4 of the approaches to the intersection. This one requires 4 cameras pointing in each direction, and it can give us advanced detection, so we can see further up the road and know a little bit more about what's coming, and it can create a traffic calming effect once we get it all dialed in. Okay, a brief moment on our testing board, and I'd encourage you to come out and visit our technical services department anytime and take a look at what goes on behind the scenes. But this is our testing board. It's similar to the portable one that we have inside the unit. You see the flashing yellow lights there on the unit? And so I got our reds, greens, and yellows, and that represents the 4 different approaches from north, south, east, and west. This cabinet board, or this testing board that we have here, we use it to prepare this cabinet for deployment. What we have to do is we have to burn this cabinet in for 30 to 60 days, 24/7. Make sure it has no bugs, no glitches, and it's ready for use. I'd like to recognize Lucian, who's here with us tonight, who actually built this board from scratch. He used our supplies and our resources out of our sign room for the overlay, and then he painstakingly hardwired every single circuit, including the pedestrian signals and the yellow flashing arrows that are in that board right there. So it's a pretty awesome piece of work. Okay, this is Centrax, our central traffic management system. It has so much to offer. We're just getting familiar with some of its primary uses. We have 35 licenses.
Is this new, Michael? Is this
This is
something
new.
that we just got and spent a lot of money on?
It is.
Okay.
It's something we just got, we spent a lot of money on.
It'd be great for me to get a demo on that too. In fact, I'd love to have it on my desktop.
I'd love for it to work. No, it's
okay.
We're just.
Okay, well, stick with the good stuff, okay?
We're getting it installed, and it's in progress,
Okay.
and we're also.
Good, I just wanted to know it's brand new.
It's
This
brand
isn't
new.
something, I mean, we're just implementing it, right? So
We're just implementing it. We went to, Frank Sweet and I went to Stillwater to look at some of the equipment they had there. some of the uses that they have the college, they have the football, they have to be able to move traffic certain ways. And we found some resources there that we could use. We came back and we found out how we could apply some of these things. And this is one of them. And it's going to work beautifully. It's working very well now, but our network, it relies on our internal infrastructure.
How many intersections are hooked up to it so far?
14 of our main intersections.
Okay, good.
North, south, east, west.
We got 54 or 52 or something like that?
We got 50 total.
Okay.
We're doing 35 total, including the 14. And so this is going to help us monitor these intersections for loss of power, flash mode, battery backup status, traffic counts. Even if the cabinet door's open, we're going to know about it right then and there. There's numerous inputs that we can put into the system that's going to give us feedback instantly via email, text, to my traffic lead, my traffic text, my on-call text. And we'll know, hopefully, the goal is to know before the public knows. And we can be on the job and taking care of it and have it taken care of before somebody has to pick up the phone or stop and do a C-click fix. We also have the 14 licenses for the 14 main intersections on 412 and 81, which help coordinate the flow of traffic in the most efficient manner possible. With this system, every morning it will suggest the most efficient timing program. We could put it to use, depending on the variables that it may not account for, or we can leave it as it is. The goal is to move the motors through town with as little delay as possible. No one wants to stop at every light, especially when there's no opposing traffic. And this software will help us streamline traffic on the Van Buren and Garrett corridors. Garrett is working pretty well right now. Van Buren is still a challenge. And I think that's where we're getting some of our struggles. This is a signal head. I want to just kind of show you a signal head. On the right, we have Jordan, who is 6'5". This is a 4-lamp head, and it's almost 6 foot itself. On Jordan's right is Michael, our senior senior traffic tech, who is 5'10", and you can see the smaller size of the lamp head is still very large. We thought about bringing one down here, but it's just too big. Take up too much room. We're going to light it up.
Has everybody seen one? Okay, we're good.
They're big. Okay. Talk a little bit about school zone beacons. We have 42 school zone beacons here in Eden, including Pioneer and Chisholm. We monitor these beacons remotely from our traffic room using a program called Glance with AI hardware. AI is for Applied Information, which is the unit that's inside the box out at the beacon. It's connected via cellular network, which gives us the ability to manage schedules, manage changes. This came in very handy during the pandemic, and even as recently as yesterday. We had to make some changes because summer school is starting. They made a phone call, and within an hour, we should have all the programs in and beacons ready and running. So a lot of it you can just copy, paste, that sort of thing. It makes life so easy. This equipment is integrated. Just want you to make a note, this equipment is integrated with an app called Travel Safely. This app can be ran in the background of your phone, and it will alert you if you're speeding in a school zone. And we want to take that to the next level next year. I want to touch briefly on street lights that we have here in Enid. As you can see in the pictures here, if a street light is on our signalized intersection, it belongs to the city of Enid. If it's not on our intersection, chances are it belongs to OG&E. We get dozens of requests to repair the street lights in and around neighborhoods. And if we could, we would. But OG&E really wants to do their own repairs. So I would encourage folks to contact OG&E directly. And I can pass along the number tonight, if that's okay. Now, with that being said, Eric Benson Boulevard, those are ours. The Colonial Street lights downtown, those are ours. The lights at Champlain Park are ours, but the ones at Government Springs North are not. So it takes a little bit of learning to figure out who owns what, but chances are we have 300 roughly. The vast majority of the others are going to be OG&Es. A little bit of tech talk. All of these tie together, so if you'll just bear with me. Phase or phases, this is a term used for talking about the channel inside the controller or the direction of travel. Calls, when the detection system detects a motorist or a pedestrian, it calls for that controller to service that phase and give it a green light when the time comes. Max recall is an override command to give maximum time to all traveling directions. Red flash is when all 4 directions are flashing in red. And fail-safe is often miscommunicated as a red flash. The true meaning of a fail-safe is when the detection system that we've already talked about fails to give a call either due to faulty operation, bad weather, and it forces the intersection into maximum recall until the errors are resolved. Sometimes these errors are self-corrected. Coordination is a term that we talk about for the time to run for each direction of travel through each corridor. These times are set in place after traffic studies have been completed, then Syntrax kicks in and improves all of this on a daily basis if it all works well. The most recent traffic study that was done here was done in 2018 on our Van Buren and Garrett intersections. So we have that data going into what we're doing. Causes for delays, our favorite subject, right, okay. There are many reasons for traffic delays. Waiting on the set time for coordination can be the most common and the most frustrating. Other delays like emergency vehicle preemption or even pedestrian calls whenever school is let out. And then there's storms, fog, dirt, soot on the lens, and even good old sunshine can blind the cameras if they're not properly mounted and calibrated. And then what we've all been waiting for, the financial end. In 2019, 2020, this is about the time I was hired and brought into the City of Enid, we had 50 of these blue Cobalt controllers purchased and were going out into the field. At that time, we decided as a group to buy 8 new traffic detection systems after a thorough vetting of all of the equipment and all the vendors that were out there, what they had and their features and benefits were, and how they could help Enid. Then we brought in the remote traffic monitoring system, the Syntrax system that we were talking about, the signal performance management system for the 35 intersections and the 14 on Van Buren and Garrett. And then we bought 3 cabinets and 3 battery backups. This was, again, in 1920. In 2021, we added to our cabinet inventory and we bought 4 more cabinets, 4 more battery backups. We rewired 2 intersections, which are Oakwood and Chestnut and Oakwood and Garrett. And we bought 50 new conflict monitors, 50 new MMUs to replace the equipment that we had in the field. This upcoming year, what we would like to do is do 4 more intersections as far as the rewire goes. We're going to buy 8 more detection systems. We're going to add left turn flashing arrows to 2 intersections, hopefully. The goal was to do 1, but I'm optimistic we can get 2. And then we're going to buy some more cabinets, 5 of those, and 10 battery backups so we can also get some equipment out there backed up that doesn't currently have it. And lastly, just some other significant purchases that we made over the course of these 3 years. It says 2021, but 2021 is where this data comes in from. More traffic cabinet replacements, and then even another traffic cabinet replacement. We've had 3 cabinets destroyed in this last year, which I've been told is very, very, very unusual. 1 every few years is typical.
Were those acts of God, or what happened?
Well, we had one was taken out by a neutral wire was cut, which is basically a direct short, and it was at the district construction site, and whenever they cut the wire, it fried our cabinet.
Haven't we lost several to vehicle accidents?
And we lost 2 to vehicle accidents.
Yes.
Oakwood.
Please, public, pay attention. Please don't hit our cabinets.
Please. Oakwood and Willow, brand new pickup, 1 day old, plowed right over it, destroyed it. And then at York and Van Buren, there was a medical event, and a person rear-ended someone, knocked them into it, and put them up in the front yard with our cabinet underneath the car.
If there are accidents, does our insurance cover that? Does the driver that caused the accident?
The driver. I would assume the
Liability.
the vehicle, the owner of the vehicle and
We submit claims to legal and
Right.
yes, and we also have insurance as well.
We had a school zone beacon knocked down over by Prairie View recently. That's already been paid for. And we haven't even got all the parts in yet.
Okay.
So we have to deal with what a lot of people deal with the issue with getting microprocessor parts and delays and those kind of things.
In fact, I was going to ask about that one, so.
Yeah.
Good.
It takes a while. 6 weeks is not unusual, 8 weeks. I'd like to thank Faith Melton, Chester Martin, Lucian Odom, Michael Aguilar, and Jordan Blom for their assistance in putting this together for you. And then, for the sake of time, and this is kind of put way over here, if you want to come up and take a closer look, or we can do a little bit of a demonstration from there as to what all these components are. They're kind of hard to see.
Before we do that, what questions
Sure.
do you have for Michael or his team? I want to say that I remember that intersection at York that got hit, because I think that you and Lucian and your team, or some folks on your team, were out there, I think, pretty much all weekend trying to get that back up and operational as fast as you can. And so I appreciate that. It's an inconvenience in a tough, busy road like that. I appreciate your efforts. That's great customer service. But the public, unfortunately, this could happen to all of us. When something gets taken out, sometimes it takes several days to get things back in operation. So drive carefully.
We had a great team come together, and it was a Friday night. You know, it's everybody's
always the
going
worst
home.
time.
It's 10 o'clock at night, and then the phone rings. And so, yes, we had the signal into flash as soon as we could, using, of all things, a school zone beacon controller. My guys went out there, they wired it in and made it work, and set it on the ground, and put a cone by it, and got it to flash so we could at least get through the night and get a cabinet secured, which we had. Had a backup, I believe, or we had one built within 1 or 2 days and had it out the door and put up. So the team I have is extraordinary.
So was it
awesome.
MacGyver that did that? No. Just
For sure.
It sounds like the system keeps track of traffic that's going and tries to optimize to keep the traffic moving.
Yes.
But I guess there's ways of feeding things in. For instance, it's 4th of July, and we got traffic lights are all different because we're trying to clear Meadow Lake Park as quickly as we can. Can it accommodate things like that, or Friday night football games when the stadium is full?
Yes,
So it
absolutely.
can-
That was
all right.
one of the things that we were really fascinated by. We've had a lot of training on it. That's advanced training, and we'll get that training, but yes, it will. If it will do that for Oklahoma State Cowboys,
Yeah, it should be able to handle it.
it's going to do it. It's going to do it for our venues, hopefully, and we'll be able to move traffic right along. And I'm glad you brought that up, because, as I mentioned earlier, coordination is one of those things that become frustrating. We're trying to move traffic from Leona Mitchell all the way to Oakwood, and all get green, right? And if you're just getting stopped there, you may have to wait on what we call a platoon of cars to clear that area. And as long as that camera can see traffic coming, it's going to let it go through. It's going to keep giving it time until it clears it out. And that's in both directions. And then it'll stop and let the side streets go, and then it'll do it again. If you throw in a preemption interruption, it's going to take it a little bit to reset, recycle. If you have the windmill trucks come through town, that's going to change the equation. So we have to contend with all of those things. And again, this coordination effort, we want to get it going north and south too, so whenever Gerald goes home and he takes off straight out of town or wherever you're going. So, and anybody for that matter, you know. Nobody likes to sit at a light and wait for that green light left turn to change when there's nobody sitting there.
Right.
You know? And I'm just like you guys, so I feel your pain.
Okay.
Any more questions?
How many lights does one cabinet control?
It controls 8 phases at a minimum, and that would be 8 times at least 6 heads. So it would be 48 lights.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you could get down smaller. Broadway and 16th is probably our smallest intersection.
Now, what do you mean by 48 lights? Because at a normal intersection, there's four light poles. Are you talking about the individual?
Balls. That's what we call these,
Okay.
the 1 foot.
Yeah.
It's up to 48?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
industry term
red,
is-
yellow, green,
is
and
ball. It's
maybe
a
a
light
turn
ball.
signal green.
There's 12 lights.
Okay.
Yeah, we purchased 200 signal lamps, and we've got a whole lot of those up. This illuminated street lights, we've got 78 of those. We've already bought 60. We're doing the same street lamp that you see OG&E has put up around town. We was able to acquire the exact same lights, so they're seamless. You won't know the difference between theirs and ours. as far as the hue, the angle, any of that. They're all the same. They have a 10-year warranty. They're very nice lights. I don't know if there's much else I want to touch on there other than the
So is that what you're talking about, 7, 8?
Yeah. Okay, your left turn, and
Those
then
two
you
things.
usually, you're right.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
It's an extra 20 that lets you pass it.
Okay, 5:45, we're going to adjourn and reconvene here at 6:30.